to Managing Chest Drainage. My name is David Woodruff. I'm the president of Ed for Nurses, where we empower nurses to become extraordinary. Join us online at www.ed4nurses.com. Today what I'd like to talk to you about is using chest drainage. Now, we use chest drainage systems in our patients who have some kind of a problem with the pleural space. So we have some air, we have some fluid, we have some blood in the pleural space, and we need to drain it out. So a chest tube is inserted, and then the chest tube is connected to a chest drainage system. Now, there's a variety of different systems, but they all work on the same basic principles. And the same basic principles are those of the 3-bottle system. So going way back in time, now I'm sure that some of you out there probably remember these things, right? Okay, but we had the 3-bottle system, and what we have is, starting on the right-hand side here and moving over to the left, is we have air coming from the patient. So air and secretions are coming from the patient, and they're going down this first tube here into our drainage system. And of course, any kind of fluid is going to drop off into that collection chamber because gravity is just going to pull it down. However, air is going to then continue, and it's going to go through this second tube on over here into the second bottle. Now, air is going to go all the way down to the bottom there, and it's going to bubble through the water and keep going back. Now, this system, or this thing that we call here the second chamber, is the water seal. Now, it's called a water seal because the tube is underneath the water, and therefore it's going to keep air from moving backwards through the system. Now, air continues then, so we're pulling air from the patient, it continues on back, and it goes through the third bottle here and back to our suction source at the wall. Okay, so that's what's going to happen here with our 3-bottle system. Now, briefly, the purpose of each one of these different chambers is the first chamber that comes back from the patient, so this one over here, this chamber, the purpose of that chamber is to collect any fluid that's coming back from the patient. The purpose of our second chamber, or the second bottle here, is the water seal. The water seal is a one-way valve. It allows air out of the patient, but it does not allow air to go back to the patient. The purpose of the third chamber then, over here, this is our suction control. Now, some devices will have a little manual suction control that's just done by a dial. Other ones have a fluid-filled suction control like what we see here. This is going to control the amount of suction that goes to the patient depending upon how much water is in that chamber. The higher you fill the chamber, the more suction that goes to the patient. Therefore, if we turn this up really high and turn up lots of wall suction, we will bubble away the water in this chamber very quickly, and it'll result in the patient losing suction because the amount of water is going to evaporate and go down. So we don't want to turn that up too much. Now let's take the 3-bottle system here and put it into what we have today is our plastic chambered system. Same concepts going on here. So the same 3 bottles you had there on the left are now being put into this plastic chamber over on the right. So again, coming back from the patient, we have our collection chamber right here. So this is our collection chamber coming back from the patient. Notice that the blood and fluid from the patient is going to drop off in that chamber. Now, in our plastic systems, we actually have 3 different compartments to the collection chamber. So there's this one far over on the right here, and then we have a middle one here, number 2. Let's make that number 2. And then we have a third chamber over here, number 3. Okay, so this one here being our number 1. All right, so we have the first chamber is going to overflow to the second chamber. The second chamber then is going to overflow to the third chamber, and now our system is full. The second part of this device we have, again, is our water seal down here. So air is coming from our third chamber and down the water seal, just like we had before, like down the straw in our second bottle, and then bubbling out and going back toward our suction control. The third chamber over here on the left is our suction control, and again, it's going to control the amount of suction the patient gets based on the level of water that's in that chamber. So that's what's going to control our suction. Now here is one of those systems all together in what it looks like actually as you're looking at it out of the container. Same 3 areas. We have, again, our collection chamber over here on the right-hand side. We have our water seal chamber here in the middle. That's letter B. And then we have our suction control chamber over here on the left, and that's letter A. So as far as the different pieces that go here, this is what we've got in our control system. So what should we have in a properly functioning chest drainage system? Well, first of all, we're going to have, here are 3 chambers again, so just like we saw before, I've just put this into a little animated diagram. Over on the right-hand side, again, we got our collection chamber going on over here on the right. In the middle here, we've got our water seal, and over here on the left-hand side, we have our suction control. Okay, so the same 3 chambers that we had in the previous system. Let's take a look at what we should have as a properly functioning chest drainage system. First of all, we should have gentle bubbling in the suction control. It doesn't help to have this bubbling away like a jacuzzi. All that's going to do is it's going to evaporate the fluid in that system faster and lose your suction. So gentle bubbling in the suction control. We should have tidling in the water seal. The water seal is that middle chamber, and what we mean by tidling is a gentle moving back and forth of this fluid. So what happens is as the patient inhales, air or fluid is going to be pulled up the straw this way. Then as the patient exhales, the water level falls back down. Okay, so what we're seeing here in the actual animation as it's going on right now is you're seeing inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation, inhalation. Okay, so it's dropping up and down based on the patient's ventilation. Now, if that stops tidling, it means your system is no longer patent. It's no longer communicating with the chest, because as that patient inhales, negative pressure in the chest is going to be made, which is going to pull that fluid up the one side of the water seal. So if that isn't happening, that means your system is no longer patent. Now, we may see bubbling in the water seal, but that's not a normal finding. It indicates an air leak. Next, over on the right-hand side, we should see some consistency in our drainage. Obviously, you expect the drainage to taper over time, but we don't expect it to go from 200 milliliters the previous hour to 10 milliliters in this shift, okay? So you expect some consistency in what it looks like and the amount of drainage that you're getting out when you're checking the system. Okay, so the 3 components of a properly functioning chest drainage system are gentle bubbling in the suction control, that's over here, number 1. Then we're going to see tidling in the water seal, that's number 2, and then consistency and drainage, number 3 over here. Thank you for joining me for Managing Chest Drainage. My name is David Woodruff. I'm the president of Ed for Nurses, where we empower nurses to become extraordinary. Find out more about us by going online and going to www.ed4nurses.com. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, bye now.